Good day, Dr. Gregorio is Ochavillo. Uh, Today I will be discussing about the assigned topics under the Man Science 506, Instructional Materials in Marine Engineering and Nautical Science. So today I will be reporting the different topics, the domains of human learnings, the cone of experience, contributions of media to the learning process, and lastly, the planning the use instructional media or audiovisual materials. So as educators, I observe and recognize that students learn in different ways, requiring them to establish teaching methods that emphasize each student's distinctive strengths. So, the domains of human learnings. In this topic, I will be discussing about what are the domains of learning are, why they are important, and the types of learning domain, or the stages of each domain that students use to process information and develop skills. So, what are the domains of learning? So, the domains of learning are the series of learning objectives. So, learning objectives, also known as learning outcomes. So, it is essential for effective learning. It was created in 1956 by educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom. Okay, so that's why we have the Bloom's taxonomy. So, Dr. Benjamin has identified the six levels of learning that need to be nurtured for the most meaningful knowledge delivery. So we have remember, uh, revise by knowledge. We have understanding or the grasp meaning, restate ideas, problem solve or application, separate materials or analysis, create or synthesis, judge or state or evaluation. So this great thinker, Mr. Bloom's, inspire us and our system duly follow the unique cognitive learning model. So there are uh, three types of uh, learning domain. So they involve three categories of education and each one requires different instruction style to achieve its intended outcomes. So what are these three domains of learning? So can be categorized as cognitive domain, knowledge, psychomotor uh, skills, and affective domain, which is attitude. So each domain has specific features and objectives designed to engage students who learn to solve problems, process information, and build their skills using different perspectives. So this helps make learnings easier and more enjoyable. So cognitive domain, which is mental skills. So this cognitive domain involves the development of our mental skills and the acquisition of knowledge. So under the cognitive domain has the six categories under these domains are knowledge. So we have knowledge. So this knowledge is the ability to recall data or information. So we have comprehension. So this comprehension is the ability to understand the meaning of what is known. And under the cognitive domain, we have also application. So this application is the ability to utilize an abstraction or to use knowledge in a new situation. Fourth, we have the analysis. So this analysis is the ability to differentiate the facts and the opinions. And the synthesis, this synthesis is the ability to integrate different elements or concepts in order to form a sound pattern or structure so a new meaning can be established, di ba? So, lastly, we have the evaluation. So, this evaluation is the ability to come up with judgment about the importance of the concepts. So, these are under the cognitive domain or the mental skills. The second types of learning domain is the affective domain. So, the affective domain uh, involves our feelings. Okay? So it involves our feelings, emotions, and attitudes. So this domain is categorized in 5 subdomains. So kining affective domain, sir, may 5 subdomains ito which include receiving phenomena. So ano bang ibig sabihin ng receiving phenomena? The awareness of feelings and emotions as well as the ability to utilize selected attention. So example, listening attentively to a friend. So ito yung example sa receiving phenomena. So the second subdivisions or subdomains of affective domain is responding to phenomena. So ano ba itong responding? Is to active participation of a learner. So you are participating in a group discussion. So responding to phenomena, yan. So the third one is valuing. So valuing is the ability to see the worth of something to express it. So example, an activist shares his ideas on the increase in salary of laborers. So ito yung valuing. So the fourth one is organizations. So organizations is to prioritize a value or value over another and create a unique value system. So example, this one is a teenager spends more time in her studies than with her boyfriend. So ganun yun, sir. So mas importante pa yung studies kaysa kanyang boyfriend. So yung ibig sabihin ng organizations, which is ability to prioritize a value over another and create a unique value system. That's organizations. So the last one, we have characterizations. So this characterization again is the another ability to internalize the values and let them control the person's behavior. So ano ba yung ibig sabihin yan? Example, a man marries a woman not for her looks but for what she is. Okay, so parang ninineglect niya yung physical appearance ng isang tao, kundi mas mahalaga sa kanya yung inner size of that woman. Okay, so lastly, the last types of learning domain, we have the psychomotor domain. So this psychomotor domain, sir, is comprised of utilizing motor skills and coordinating them. So, or the manual or physical skills. That's what is psychomotor. So the psychomotor again has 7 categories. Under this include perception. So itong perception is to ability to apply sensory information to motor activity. So we have set. So yung set is the readiness to act. No, parang an obese person displays motivation in performing planned exercise. Of course, in order for to be healthy, di ba? So the third one, we have guided response. So the guided response is the ability to imitate a displayed behavior. So example on this one, so a person follows the manual and operating machine. So yun yung guided response. So the mechanism, the fourth one, is to convert the learned responses into a habitual actions. So ibig sabihin yan is, example, a mother was able to cook a delicious meal after practicing how to cook it, right? So, ibig sabihin, mechanism. Okay, so mechanism is the ability to convert learned responses into habitual actions. So, the fifth one, we have complex overt response. So, ibig sabihin, is the ability to skillfully perform complex patterns of action. Okay, so example, yung mga a person who are typing a report on a computer without locking a keyboard. So, yun yung complex overt response. So, adaptations, uh, modify learned skills to meet special events. And lastly, we have the origination. So, originations is creating new movement patterns for a specific situation. So example, on this one, a choreographer creates a new dance routine. So that's origination. Origination. Okay? So why are the domains of learning important? Bakit ba importante ang learnings? So the domains of learning teach students to think critically by using methods. Okay? So it also gives teachers tools to cater the learning experience to the specific needs of each student. By assigning tasks with a learning domain in mind, teachers can help students understand and retain information based on how they learn best. So each domain of learning has a benefits that extend into a real world situations. Example in maritime, that students can take into a career they choose. So again, the developing and delivering lessons by teachers are integral in the teaching process. So it is important for teacher to ensure that the three domains of learning, which include the thinking or the cognitive, the affective or the emotions, and the psychomotor or the kinesthetic, that to be achieved by the students. Okay, so the next topic is the cone of experience. So ano bang ibig sabihin ng cone of experience? So this content about the Edgar Dale, the stages of cone experience. So sino ba si Edgar Dale? So Edgar Dale, he was the American educator who developed the cone of experience, also known as the learning pyramid. Okay, so this is the learning pyramid. So he contributed to audio and visual instruction, including in this one, methodology for analyzing the content of motion pictures. So Dale's cone of experience is a model. Okay, what is cone of experience? It is a visual model that composed of 11 stages. So ano ba yung mga 11 stages? So starting from the concrete experience at the bottom at the cone, then it becomes more and more abstract as it reach and peak at the cone. So this cone of experience today is learning by doing, has become known as experiential learning or action learning. So this cone is diagrammed and explained in the next section. So let's explain what is cone of experience. Okay, so how can instructors use the cone of experience? So according to Dale's research, that the least effective method at the top, as you can see, the top involves learning from information presented through a verbal symbols or listening to spoken words. So example of this, reading, right? So the most effective methods at the bottom naman, doing a dramatic presentation or simulating the real experience or doing the real thing. So, involves direct purposeful learning experiences such as hands-on or field experience. So direct purposeful experiences represents the reality are the closest things to real life every day. Because reading, 10% of what we read, we only remember. 'Di ba? But when you applying, doing a dramatic presentation like a role playing, simulating a real experience, doing a real thing, will retain to the student about 90% of what they say and what they do. That's what according to the cone of learning. So I see and I forget, I hear and I remember, I do and I understand. So that's what Confucius said. So the cone chart, the average retention rate for various methods of teaching, the farther you progress down, pababa, okay, the farther you progress down the cone, the greater learning. Okay? Active. So, the greater learning and the more information is likely to be retained. Yung pababa ka. But, um, it also suggests that when choosing an instructional method, it is important to remember that involving students in the process strengthens knowledge retention. Yes, tama. I agree that. So it reveals that action learning techniques result in up to 90% of retention. So people learn best when they use perceptual learning style. So perceptual learning styles are sensory based. So the sensory based naman are are the channels possible in interacting with a resource. The better chance that many students can learn from it. That's according to Dale. The instructor should design instructional activities that build upon more real-life experiences so that the 90%, the action learning techniques result in up to 90% retention. Okay? So it will remain after 2 weeks, they will tend to remember of what they say and what they do. So what is the contributions of media to the learning process? So instructor can engage students and produce more meaningful and deep learning experiences by using films. Of course, using films, television shows, populars, and popular music, news stories, uh, what else? Literature, documentaries, and videos from sources such as YouTube, right? So they can, uh, it's part of deep learning experiences by using that type of media. So what are media? So what is media? What are the types of media? What contributions of media to the learning process? So what is media? The term media was first used to describe a newspaper more than 2 centuries ago. Okay, so today it has many different connotations. So marami na siyang meaning or katawagan. So there are mass media, print media, etc. But in overall, media is a channel of communications through which news, entertainment, educations, data, or promotional messages are disseminated. So in this sense, a medium is anything that communicates a message to an audience. So take note that media is the plural of the medium, means more than one. Okay, what are the types of media? So these are the examples of 8 media types. So we have the television, the blog, the newspaper, television, broadcasting, Snapchat, and etc. So what are the contributions of media to the learning process? So contributions of media to the learning process, we have the delivery instruction can be more standardized. The instruction can be more interesting. Learning becomes more interactive through applying accepted learning theory. The length of time required for instruction can be reduced. The quality of learning can be improved. The instruction can be provided when and where desired or necessary. Positive attitude of students toward what they are learning and to the learning process itself can be enhanced, and the role of instructors can be appreciably changed in positive directions. So lastly, last of my topic about the planning the use of instructional media or audiovisual missions. So instructional media or audio visual materials are not a substitute for effective instruction. They are materials which assist the teacher or the educators in the teaching learning process. So there is no specific time when to use of instructional materials teaching learning situations. So however, many uses for materials in making meanings clear that it can be used for. So we have introducing of unit. We have the following up or summarizing a unit, identifying self with a situation, developing a unit, interpreting unit, motivating and arousing of interest, providing individual and group therapy, transferring the real life situation and correlating bits of information. So these are the media or the audiovisual are used for. So how media or audio media are used? How? So the following are a basic plan of effective teaching. So of course, you need to prepare yourself, right? So mental readiness is about preparing your mind for any situation at work or in your personal life. So you need to consider the value and the purpose of materials that being covered, the needs and the interests of the students, and the materials to be used. Second, you need to prepare the classroom, of course. See that all the necessary materials are on hand and arranged for their best use. Third, prepare the class. Explain what you expect to get out of it. Introduce new words or terminology and present the materials. So make the presentation forceful and summary. Of course, summarize the presentation in detail. And lastly, follow up. So allow students to utilize their new knowledge. Huh? So how the system approach to teaching? How? So system approach is based on the generalization that everything is interrelated and interdependent. So the effective of instructional materials requires that the teacher use a systematic approach to the development of learning sequences. So this total system must encompass the learners, the subject and the content of the lessons, methods to be used in instruction. So this method, example of these methods to be used in instruction are the teacher-centered instruction, or the small group instruction, or project-based learning, or etc. So we have the instructional to be used, instructional materials uh, to be used, including consideration of unique strengths or weaknesses. So we have the facilities or environment, supporting equipment, of course, uh, supporting equipment, a good equipment and the facilities are part of schools. Holistic approach to improving the learning environment and the balancing academic with other important non-curriculum activities. So lastly, the students and the teacher evaluation. So what is the importance of teachers evaluation? It is essential to know that the strength of the teachers and those aspects of their practice which could be further developed. And the student evaluation helps the student to build an educational program, assess their achievements, and improve upon its effectiveness. So it serves an inbuilt monitor within the program to review the progress and learning from time to time. So under the planning, we have also 5 phases. So the 5 phases of system of instruction with the use of educational technology. So we have the introduction, development, organization, summarizing, and evaluation. So let's discuss each one of these 5 phases. So the introduction is the motivational and explanatory phase. So the students are shown that the course of the study will be interesting and challenging. So using the audio visuals can help to motivate and challenge students. So under the instructions, the teacher must consider the following preparations whenever the instructional materials are used. Okay. So may 4 tayong uh, preparations when using the instructional materials. Of course, the first one, self-preparation. Okay, preview and evaluate the materials. Preparation of the presentation. You need to determine how the media will be most effectively presented. So we have the preparing students and preparing follow-up activities. Of course, um, after you inform the students about the presentation, you need to plan in advance about the activities also. So the second phase is the development phase. So this involves the learning of the required information by the students, the use of all available alternative options of methodology. So example, the study by individuals or by groups or entire by class. The third phase is organization phase. So organization phase, this is the time for pulling together. Okay, so it uses the production of capabilities of the school media center. So we have among the most useful materials which students may use are the mounted pictures, slides, charts, posters, etc. Also dramatization, debates, reports, and etc. Fourth, we have the summarizing phase. So this summarizing phase is the major presentation for the whole class, either by individual or small groups or by a teacher. So this summarizing, students make a summary presentation, present and discuss the content of displays or hand and written report after the teacher show a film, set of slides, a video, or etc. And lastly, the 5 phases. The 5 phase is the evaluation phase. Again, This involves two areas evaluation, the student and the teacher. So this evaluation phase, it is important that there be an evaluation process. Okay, importante yan. So, bakit ba importante ang evaluation? So, the evaluation, uh, from this perspective, the institution of teacher evaluation and a student evaluation is a vital step in the drive to improve the effectiveness of teaching and learning and raise the educational standards. Okay, so these are my references. So uh, before I end my presentation, let me leave this quote. If you get tired, learn to rest, not to quit. So that's according to Bank C. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for your listening and thank you for your time, sir. It's my it's my end of my presentation. Thank you.